We are just 1 week away from the season 10 Masked Singer finale, which means we spend one more week with Group C. We've got the Candelabra, the Anteater, and the Donut. One will advance to next week's finale. Who's it going to be? Let's talk the Masked Singer. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It, and welcome to my Masked Singer recap and reaction video for Season 10. This is the Group C final, so there's only one more week after this, and we're going to find out who is joining with the finale. It's going to be a 2-hour finale next week. They always bloat these things to death, but we will figure out who is going to be the winner, and it may be one of the people from Group C. Only one will advance, though, so we will find out about all of that here in just a moment. I only know the first person being sent home, and then I've paused the episode, so I know one, and then the other two going to go in the Battle Royale. The theme this week, the soundtrack of my life. Before we launch into the specifics of this episode and my thoughts here, let me welcome you into Dan Reviews It. Thank you for finding this video. We do new movies and TV shows here every single week, and then, you know, sometimes I do these specialty videos. Masked Singer season, yes, every week I do the Masked Singer videos. I just wrapped up the Frasier videos as well for the new Frasier reboot, so I do specialty stuff here as well. But movies and TV in general, that is the name of the game. So please consider subscribing and hit that notification bell as well to get the alerts for all my new video drops. All right, so first up was the Candelabra. And it is worth noting, I thought about this as the episode started. I don't think they've done any special panel guests this year. Usually, you know, there's at least one or two, and they have dialed that back recently. I wonder if maybe part of that had to do with the time Leslie Jordan was on the show, and then he died, but the episode had not aired yet. It was like months away because they filmed this show, you know, a few months in advance. I wonder if maybe that had something to do with it, but whatever. This season they've had no special guests, I don't think, in terms of panelists, which is a little weird. But all right, so the Candelabra was first, and she said, this was again about the soundtrack of my life was the theme. So she said, my song tonight, which is "I'm Going Down" by Mary J. Blige. It is about heartbreak, and I know it well. I was in a relationship for a long time. We see a box or something that says "From the Angels" at that point. She said, I had a child and built a life with this person, but he kept proving to me he couldn't be trusted. And then we see a royal flush with, I don't know if this is anything, but it was of all hearts, a heart royal flush. Like I said, she did "I'm Going Down" by Mary J. And then afterwards, the clue every time tonight was the Men in Black bringing out a mixed tape, and the mixed tape said something on it that gives us a clue to their connection with a panelist. So her tape said "Party Jams," and she said, Nicole and I partied at an industry party, which narrowed it down to many, many, many people. All of these clues today are so vague because it could be, you know, 1,000 people still. But Nicole herself was thinking it could be Tamar Braxton or Keisha Cole. She thought both of those made sense. Robin was echoing the Keisha Cole. Chili was mentioned from TLC, and then also Dawn Richards. Robin thought maybe it could be her from Danity Kane. I have never heard that name before in my life. I vaguely know who Danity Kane is, but you know, we've been on the Keisha Cole trip, I think, on this channel here for a few weeks, so I'm going to stick with that, Keisha Cole. I think this is going to be a tough Battle Royale. We're going to do the Anteater next, and he actually gets sent home first, so we're going to talk about his unmasking. But that means the Candelabra and the Donut are going to go head-to-head in the Battle Royale, and I think that's going to be interesting because Donut is going to be, you know, kind of more sentimental favorite. You know, he's given us a lot of his heart with these performances, talking about his deceased wife. And then Candelabra is just a powerhouse vocalist. So it will be interesting as we move on with that. And also, I don't know what they're going to sing for the Battle Royale because it's such a personal episode with the soundtrack of my life. I don't know. But anyway, we'll get to that here momentarily. But first, let's move on to the Anteater. And he said, don't mess with a short king. That's, of course, a popular phrase now, and I can relate. I'm only 5'3". But he said that was referring to beating the Cuddle Monster on the last Battle Royale. He said, yeah, the Cuddle Monster might have a few inches on me, but, I took him down. I grew up listening to Johnny B. Good. That's my song tonight. I was listening to it on the radio and collecting Chuck Berry 45s as a kid. And then we see a Kiss on a record album. He said, my mom signed me up for guitar lessons at age 5, and it was hard because I am a lefty. And then we saw a flower growing up from a pot. And his post-song clue, like I said, he sang Johnny B. Good. His post-song clue said Deep Thoughts on the mixtape. And he said, I had the greatest conversation with Jenny. Again, that rules out almost no one. She was on The View. She's interviewed so many people over the years between The View, and I think maybe she has an XM show or something too. But she's interviewed people on the New Year's Eve thing. So she's talked to 1,000 people. So that doesn't really narrow it down. All right, the guesses from the panel: Paul Stanley from Kiss was was Ken's guess. Robin, actually, this is a really good guess. If I didn't think I already knew who this was, this would be an interesting one. But he thought it might be Jackson Browne. He put together a few of the clues for him. And Jenny went another way with it and thought it could be Steven Van Zandt, Little Steven from the Bruce Springsteen's East Street Band. Of course, he was also on The Sopranos for many years, but musically known most for the East Street Band. So I think these are interesting guesses, and especially the Steven Van Zandt, the Paul Stanley, because I do think this is someone who is in a very, very identifiable group, one of the most popular groups of all time, but is not the lead singer. He sings backup, much like Little Steven and Paul Stanley. And yes, they both released solo albums in the 80s that didn't really do much. But look, this is one that I have been on since the first time we heard Group C sing. I am sticking with my original guess of John Oates. And no one has said this on the panel the whole season. So this is, a Dan original thought here. From that first week, we had some clues, and they really, really wanted us to say John Cougar Mellencamp, because we saw a cougar actually in that first clue. I think the second week we met Group C, we had the Melons, but all of this, is sort of ancillary stuff. You could connect them, I'm sure, somehow. The cougar, I think, for Maneater, maybe, but the thing that sent me was the Live Aid reference in that first week. And he didn't specifically say Live Aid, but he said something like, whatever, a quarter of the world was watching or something. And Robin had pointed out, well, that can probably only be Live Aid. And they had mentioned Farm Aid as a possible for Mellencamp, but that was more America Central, not the world. Live Aid, Hall & Oates played at. Also, there are Rock and Roll Hall of Fame clues. So Rock Hall of Fame. And then this week with the Kiss on the record, one of their biggest hits, Kiss on My List. And I don't know if he's a lefty, but certainly the era of Johnny B. Good would make sense. He grew up, he's got to be, I don't know, in his mid 60s. I mean, their first albums were in the mid 70s. And then they obviously with the MTV era hit a whole new popularity structure, but and I think they are still the most popular or most at least sold duo of all time musically, outselling all of the other hot duo groups, that kind of have come and gone over the years. Sonny and Cher came and went, and the Righteous Brothers had, a few years of hits. But, Hall & Oates were really just pumping them out for years and years and years. So, look, without further ado, I think I've been on this since the start. Let's see if it is John Oates under the Anteater costume. I think it has to be him. And I love Hall & Oates. I've seen them perform a couple of times. Oh, you know what? Hold on. Oh, I almost forgot to give you the final guesses from the panel. I was so excited about my guesses. We're like 1 second away here from him being unmasked. Robin stuck with Jackson Browne. Nicole stuck with John Cougar Mellencamp. Jenny stuck with Steven Van Zandt. But Ken, idiot that he is, switched his guess to Billy Joel, which made no sense to anyone. Paul Stanley was actually a better guess. The clues, I think, match up more. Billy Joel has a more unrecognizable or recognizable voice. All right, so now we can go to the Take It Off and see if this is John Oates. Let's say it is. It's John Oates. And nobody knew. Nobody knew. Wow. Grammy-nominated singer-songwriter. God, Hall & Oates never won a Grammy? That seems crazy to me. Jenny said she can't believe they didn't get it. Nicole's mouth just wide open. I mean, he is. He's a legend. Yeah, Jenny's kicking herself. She's like throwing herself on the table. Yeah, I mean, I can't believe I got this week one and no one said it the whole time. Oh, right, man eater, ant eater. I didn't even think of that. Nick just said that. Oh, that's nice. It's one of the best things he ever did. I love Hall & Oates. They're touring again next year. I don't think I'll see them again, but these catalog bands that just come around and perform the hits, that's fine. But once you've seen them a couple of times, it's like, okay, the show is basically the same. But I do love Hall & Oates' music. I don't know what what was it? The flower growing from a pot. From a potted plant. I'm sure there's some song related to that or one of their albums or something. But all right, so there you go, Paul. Paul. I looked at Paul Stanley here. No, John Oates was under the Anteater. So, all right. So, the donut we're going to talk about here in a moment. But first, I'm going to watch the rest of the episode to see who is winning the Battle Royale. I have to say, this is a tough one. Last week, I was wrong. I thought it was going to be Sebastian Bach, but it turns out it was the Sea Queen. And after the Battle Royale, I knew why. Her vocal was great, but vocally, Candelabra obviously I think has it, but Donut is certainly a sentimental favorite. He's brought a lot of love with his story about his deceased wife. So I don't know if I had to guess now. I guess based on the voice, I would say Candelabra, but this is going to be tough. So we will see who is going on now to the finale. Well, I was wrong again, but you know what? I said this one would be close. It turns out the Donut is the one moving forward. Like I said, I think if it was based on vocal alone, that the Candelabra would be sticking around till the finale. But Donut was tricky because he is clearly a sentimental favorite. Look, this is the week I actually would have saved for the Ding Dong Keep It On bell. They used it for Group A, so 2 people from Group A are going to be in next week's finale. Personally, though, I think Candelabra and Donut both deserve to be in that finale above some of the people that are going to be there. So, I would have saved the Ding Dong Keep It On bell, but they only got to use it once for these final episodes. So, it turns out the Candelabra is the one going home. Hunter Hayes came out and sang his big hit Wanted, which was a smart choice for this showdown because the Donut has more experience with country music, and that was a country tune, but it's also a contemporary tune, so the Candelabra can get on board and sing it as well. And they both sang really good interpretations of it. I think Hunter Hayes personally was more into the Donuts performance, but again, more of a country tinge to what he was singing. So next week we will see the Donut in the finale, along with who else is even in this thing still? The Sea Queen from Group B, and then from Group A, the Cow and the Gazelle. So we'll see all of those perform next week. Boy, oh boy, of those, I don't even know. The Cow obviously has the moves and then that was a no pun intended, the moves. The Cow's got the moves, but also the voice. So I don't know. He's going to be a tough contender for sure, but the Donut actually could take it. We'll see. But anyway, the Candelabra is getting sent home. So before we get to all of that, let's talk about the Donut's performance tonight on the regular show. He sang Georgia on My Mind. He said that is about being far away from the one you love. So I can relate to that, of course, again, talking about his deceased wife. He said, I actually performed this song with Ray Charles on a TV special. And at that point, we saw a dragon on some film canisters, some film reels. And his post-song clue was Poker Night. And he said, I've hung out, Robin, with your sweet dad on many a night. And again, that narrows it down to almost everyone because, Robin was like, my dad knew everybody. So that's not real helpful. But with the panel guesses, he stuck actually with Tom Jones. He's been saying that since the beginning. That was my initial guess as well. I thought the voice matched up even if the clues didn't. But he said that Tom Jones, and his dad got pretty close later in Alan Thicke's life. Nicole is sticking with her Engelbert Humperdinck guess from the last week that Group C performed. And you know, it's not a bad guess either. I personally don't really know his voice that well, but she, you know, has rattled off a bunch of different things relating to some of his songs, and she said he has definitely performed with Ray Charles. But Jenny went with John Schneider, and that's the first time we've heard that name from the panel. But you guys in the comments were all over that week one, thinking that the bow and arrow, and this is what Jenny pointed out tonight, that the bow and arrow could be a clue for a Bo Duke, his character on Dukes of Hazzard. You know, and he did recently, very recently, lose his wife, more recently than Engelbert and more recently than Tom Jones. So I think it's Tom Schneider as well. John Schneider. I'm getting all confused today. I think it's John Schneider as well. You know, you guys convinced me. Last week, I was really, you know, listening to The Voice, and then I looked him up and saw all of his string of 80s country hits. I was not into, you know, popular music at the time. I was still into my parents', you know, Beatles records and everything in the 80s. So, in the early 80s anyway, when he had all these hits. And I'm not sure I would have known anyway because I was not a country music fan, really. I knew the Dukes of Hazzard, of course, but I didn't know about his very accomplished country career. And that would certainly lead him to singing with Ray Charles as well. So I'm going to say John Schneider is under that mask. We'll find out next week on the finale. But let's go to the Take It Off for the Candelabra. The final guesses from the panel, Nicole and Robin both thought it was Keisha Cole. They pointed out different song titles. Hold on now. I didn't get there yet. Ken went with Kelly Rowland, who I don't think we've heard this season, although every single season she is guest. Michelle Williams from Destiny's Child has been on the show, I believe, but not Kelly Rowland. And then Jenny said somebody else who has also been guest many seasons, many times over, that I do think we've heard from the panel this season, and that is Brandy. Which is interesting because the From the Angels box would have led me more to Monica, Angel of Mine. But no, she went with Brandy. You know, the princess clue a few weeks ago for Brandy's role in Cinderella. I liked that answer, and in fact, is that who I thought it maybe was the first week? I think it is. No, I went with Anika Noni Rose, who plays the princess on Princess and the Frog, Tiana. So I went with her. But, okay, Brandy was not a bad guess. I think that was guest first week, too. But, no, my final guess is Keisha Cole. You guys convinced me on this one. I'm really quite unfamiliar with her. I know, like, 2 of her songs. But she did have that reality show, and they mentioned something with reality a few weeks ago as well. So yeah, I'm with Nicole and Robin on this one, and I'm going to say Keisha Cole. So let's go to the Take It Off and double check here. I think it must be, and Nicole's partied with her too. Oh yeah, here we go. Boy, would I never have recognized her. She's a 4-time Grammy nominee apparently. All right, Robin and Nicole both got it. They're hugging. Nicole has partied with so many people. I mean, that would have been tough to narrow down. But Hunter Hayes is very excited, apparently. That makes sense, because they're in the same, like, age demo. I'm sure they played, like, concerts together. Radio festivals or whatever.
But the Masked Singer stage has to be probably the most unique stage you've ever sang on.
Yes. I mean, I lost to a donut.
She essentially lost to a donut.
That happens around here.
All right. All right. Well, you know what? There you go, Keisha Cole. I really would have liked to see her in the finale, to be honest. But so next week will be the 2-hour finale. I'm sure they're going to pull out all the stops, bring out a bunch of people from past seasons and whatnot, and you know, have a bunch of big, you know, guesses and whatever. But so it's going to be the donut, the sea queen, the cow, and the gazelle. Based on what I know right now, I think it's down to the cow or the donut. And we haven't actually, I don't think, had a male winner in quite a few seasons. I think the last 3 or 4 were women, or at least maybe last year was a male, but there was a bunch of women in a row. Jewel won, Leanne Rimes won. So yeah, I think we had, what was Nick Lachey? Did he win? He was probably the last guy. That was a few seasons ago. But anyway, so yeah, we'll do it all over again next week for the season finale for season 10 of The Masked Singer. Thank you so much for watching. Think about subscribing down below as well. Would love to have you aboard there, and we'll see you next time. Bye.